So on December 20th of 2023, I went into the gynecologist for a routine appointment. She did a pap smear, and I was like, well, since I'm here, can you also do blood work and run a full STD panel, including HIV? Because some places, I don't know, when you ask for STD testing, they don't test for HIV. And I also said including HSV1. HSV1 is herpes simplex virus 1. It is the oral herpes. And some places won't test for it because a lot of the population actually has oral herpes, a cold sore. So a lot of people test positive for it, but then they don't want people to freak out because a lot of people may not ever have a breakout. I don't know. That's what one physician told me. And I was like, I don't know what everybody else do. I would like to know all of it. Anyway, so I asked her for those labs, and she asked me, am I asking because I have any concerns, or am I asking because I want to do preventative testing? And I let her know preventative testing. If I am playing adult twister, then I get tested every 6 months. If I'm not playing adult twister, then I get tested once a year. The last time I had been tested was March of 2023. It was now December 2023, so I was like, just include it in there. When I left the OBGYN office, I normally go to Quest Diagnostic, which is to the right. I went there and it was probably like 5:30 and they didn't have any more appointments left because I think they closed at 6 or something like that. So I was like, damn, but there's another urgent care right on the left and they have a lab in there. So I went to that urgent care to get my blood drawn. This is very important. That was on the 20th. On the 23rd, I got a notification that said my results were ready in the portal. I logged onto the portal. I didn't even go to the STD testing because I look at my blood work first. A doctor once told me that I am mildly anemic. So they asked me to take iron. Anyway, so I checked my blood work first, and then I was checking the STDs one by one. Not detected, not detected, negative, not detected. And then I get to, it said like HSV 1 and 2 antibodies or something like that, or antigens. And then it said like a high level of it. I immediately got on the phone with that doctor's office. She looked it up and she was like, okay, you know what? I'm gonna see if the physician can call you back. Yeah, you see what I see. She called me back and she was like, oh, I'm looking at your lab results. She's trying to go over everything else. I'm like, girl, I don't care about none of that. And she was like, oh, I'm looking on here and it says, HSV 1 and 2 positive. She was like, I remember you asked for the test specifically. Like, is there something that you're worried about? There was nothing I was worried about. Actually, I was completely fine until I just logged on here and saw that it was positive. So now I'm freaking out. I am really freaking out. Like, I can feel myself like.
This is why it's important that when you do STD test, including HIV, you need to do it at 2 different places. This lady went to the hospital to do some tests, to run some tests, and she asked for a routine HIV and herpes test. And then the results came out positive. So later on, she asked them to do the test again, and that came out negative. So when it comes to HIV and STDs, I'm going to just talk about HIV. When it comes to HIV test, sometimes the results could be false positive and it could be false negative. Depending on the kind of antigen you have in your blood, it could react with the reagents that they use for the test, and it could lead to a false positive or a false negative. So when you do a test, it is important that you do the test at 2 different places. Don't just get, oh, it's positive and start. You have to do a confirmatory test. And there are actually like 3 types of tests that you can do. You can do the antibody test, antigen test, or the nucleic acid test. You need to do either one at different places. You can do at 2 different places just to confirm before you start your ART medication, or you know your next steps in protecting yourself from HIV. Again, HIV is not a sentence that would lead to you ending your life. It is something that can be managed. So you have to go ahead, take the test every 6 months. Do the test. If you cannot do it 6 months, you can do it every year. Do it and protect yourself. When you are having sex, use condom. Make sure you don't share needles and all the protection that you need to do. HIV again is not a sentence that would lead to your grave. So get tested, and also show people who are HIV positive love. they need all the love that they can get. In the next video, I'll talk about what you should do to protect yourself. Follow.